All right, so what we see here is a warped exhaust manifold, and I can't even say I over tightened it at this point. This part over here, you have to like pull it on, so that's how I know that it's warped when trying to bolt it down. So I'm gonna remove all of this and buy a new exhaust manifold that I know is super flat, and we'll go from there. Mainly how I know it's not the head is that plate that I put on there is sitting flat on the surface of the head, and the exhaust manifold is off. You can't really tell from your view, but from my view you can see that it's definitely off in some spots and it's kind of warped. So that's why I'm not getting a good seal, and some of the pipes up here that are covered with this heat shielding probably has some kind of micro cracks in it where the gas can escape. So we got to get this off again and go get a new one. Stay tuned. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts that you need to remove in order to get this off. I think my exhaust manifold is cracked, so when I start the car it makes a rather obnoxious sound. Yeah, I'm not really feeling that, so I need to figure out what the issue is with this one. Probably can get it welded, but in the meantime I'm gonna go back and use the one I actually took out and then fix this this hole here. The O2 sensor bung, I need to retap it so that the O2 sensor will actually screw in and won't cause me to have a leak. This is what was leaking the first time. All right, we're now under the car. We need to take off this exhaust flange bolt, and that exhaust flange bolt. And it is a 15mm wrench for the 2005 Ford Focus ZX4. It may be different for yours, and I think this is a 17 on here, so I gotta go and swap this out because this is definitely the wrong size. Stay tuned. All right, so update, exhaust flange is now removed. Word of caution, mine is easier to get off because I took it off already, but you will have to, if you've never done it before, hit it with some WD-40 or PB Blaster, let it sit for an hour or so, and then take a breaker bar and come out and undo it. Be careful because it's super tight, super tight, so just be mindful of that. All right, so now we need to go back. Since this is loose, you can move it around. We need to go back up top there and remove some stuff from the top so we can get the exhaust manifold and catalytic converter out. Stay tuned. Things we're going to need to remove are going to be this center, this hose. So this is breather hose, I guess, and the fuel line. You're going to want to remove this, and this whole bracket needs to come out so that you have enough space to remove the exhaust manifold. All right, so with all that stuff out of the way and over here, word of advice, you might want to get a heat shield for your fuel line because it's running right over the exhaust manifold. And I'm probably going to pick up one for this thing as well, if I can find one. But I put one on the fuel well and capped it off with a stopper so that no fuel leaks out of that line, because you will get fuel leaking out if you don't do that. So now all we got to do is yank this bad boy out of here and get on with it. Also removed this hook from the back, took out the heat disperser for the alternator, removed the breather hose for the cold air intake. This is updates, and let's get back to it. Let the yanking begin. All right, there we go. Exhaust manifold is out. All right, so here is the tool that I'm using, the oxygen sensor thread chaser. Or this is the info for it. I picked this up at AutoZone. Shout out to AutoZone on Singleton. And here's the tool. Already got it in, and I'm just going to chase it and hopefully get my O2 sensor area fixed. That way it won't be leaking. Alright, so everything is tap and dyed, or just tapped now, and it's ready to go back in the car. So let's get to doing that. So I got a brand new Fel Pro seal, exhaust manifold seal gasket I'm gonna put on now. And then we'll start with putting that manifold back in and bolting it down. The Haynes manual says to bolt it down to 132 inch-pounds feet of torque. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work out. All right, so now that I got it in, we need to go under the car and hook back up the bottom of the exhaust flange, and then come back up top and put this in, bolt in the bolts to the back of the engine to support the catalytic converter. Put this bolt in and bracket in. I think we should be good. So let's get going with that. All right, YouTube, so here is the mounting bracket that you need for the catalytic converter. You want to mount that to the engine block. There's a special space for that. You don't want the exhaust manifold hanging on its own, because it's not designed to do that. Carrying all that weight, it might crack. But that's probably what happened with the other one, because I took that stuff off over there. So it might have been the reason why it cracked. It's hard to say. You also want to hook back up your exhaust flanges. Remember, there are 15mm bolts. These brackets are bolts right here. These are 10mm bolts, and the bolts that hold the bracket to the block are 13mm bolts. And then the bolts that go on the flange or the exhaust manifold, mine are 15mm bolts. On the ST engine, the 2.5, I think they're 13s-ish. Don't quote me on that, but they're a little different. But yeah, so let me get this exhaust manifold bolted back up, and we'll fire it up. Make sure we clip in both of our O2 sensors. Fire it up and see if it works, and see if it's not NASCAR in here, and maybe I can actually go get this car serviced or inspect it so that I can drive it. Stay focused. Okay, YouTube, so everything is put back. All of the things that I took apart are back in order. Did get both of the O2 sensors plugged in, tightened, ready to go. Just checking to make sure everything is on, and it is. And it's time to go see if my work actually paid off, or am I going to be out here for quite some time. So let's go see. Start it up. If I have the key, I do. Oh, please work. All right, please work. Do not be NASCAR on me. And it's still NASCAR. This is how you change out the exhaust manifold. And oh, you think I sound defeated? No, I'm just a little annoyed that it didn't actually pan out the way I wanted it to, but that's the way sometimes car work goes. All right, so what we see here is a warped exhaust manifold, and I can't even say I over tightened it at this point. This part over here, you have to like pull it on, so that's how I know that it's warped. So we got to get this off again, and you'll get a new one. Stay tuned. So there it is. It's all installed. It still needs to be torqued down, but